Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Ultimate Rabbit. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today. I'm going to be doing my first audio commentary for a movie. A lot of people have been doing it on YouTube and elsewhere, so I figured why not join in. And this is for a movie that remains one of my all-time favorites for years and years, ever since I saw it back when it was released in 1990. It's Pump Up the Volume, which was written and directed by Allan Moyle and stars Christian Slater. This movie was a godsend to me when I saw it, when it came out, because Christian Slater's character of Mark Hunter, a.k.a. Hard Harry, a.k.a. Happy Harry Hard-On, was much like I was when I got uprooted and moved from Thousand Oaks to the Bay Area after living in Thousand Oaks for 5 years, and everything the character went through is pretty much more or less what I went through. Except I did not end up with Samantha Mathis for some bizarre reason. I'm sure that'll make sense someday. But I invite you to listen to my thoughts as I play the movie. I'm assuming you have your own copy ready, be it DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming. And so you just watch along. I'll try to keep the volume of the movie low on my end so I won't upstage my voice. And so anyway, you got your DVD, I'm assuming it's on play or it's ready to play, so here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here we go. New Line Cinema, the house that Freddy Krueger built, which has long since been absorbed by Warner Brothers. I like these credits here. I believe Pablo Ferro designed them, along with Alan Ferro. I like this opening shot, which just sort of pans over a suburb like any other suburb that people like you and I lived in our youth, where the houses seem very much identical, and the voice you hear can be coming from anywhere. The movie takes place in a town called Paradise Hills in Arizona. It was actually shot, however, in Saugus, California, and in Santa Clarita as well, in Santa Clarita Valley. But still, it looks a lot like Arizona, at least as I remember when I was a kid. I remember visiting family friends in Phoenix years and years ago. I do remember being very hot and very dry. I've never forgotten that. And this looks fairly hot and dry, except, of course, in the evening, where you see cold air coming out of the characters' mouths. Eat your cereal with a fork and your homework in the dark. I love that. I love these credits because they just capture the rebellious nature of this film perfectly. Like graffiti that someone's putting on a wall that it may eventually get taken off, but you can't forget that it was there. So we got students pulling in here to Hubert Humphrey High. I wonder, is that a character from the novel Lolita? I don't know. I can look it over some other time. So, the high school they actually filmed this film at was Saugus High School in Saugus. And it looks like any other high school I think many of us went to. Looks a bit like mine. Actually, it's funny, I saw this movie before I started high school. I just got out of the 8th grade, and 8th grade started off great, but was kind of a rough year where I started to feel very alienated from everyone else around me. So seeing this movie was great. I don't know if it completely compared me for high school in the way The Breakfast Club did, but it made me realize, hey, it's okay to be me. It took a while for me to figure out who I was and what I really wanted to do, because I was too busy trying to impress other people. But there you go. And here we got Samantha Mathis. Apparently this is one of her very first movies. It's great to see her. We see the vice principal here, played by Andy Romano, who's taking in a couple of students into the class, into the principal's office. We'll find out what she's doing with them later on. Annie Ross. The late great Annie Ross. Gone but not forgotten. I have no idea what Samantha Mathis did before this, but in this movie she just kind of came out of anywhere. It just came out of nowhere, and Yeah, she's just great in this film. And I like how the movie pretty much drops us in the middle of the action. I mean, there's no scene with him just arriving, with Mark Hunter just arriving in town. He's already there trying to deal with the world around him. And, of course, he's already long since established his pirate radio station. And he's going on the air. This song, everybody knows, is still quite the anthem today. For those who have a very cynical worldview. This movie was my introduction to Leonard Cohen. Brilliant songwriter, and just has a very unique voice. I like that. It's like, this guy's definitely a teenager. He's definitely likes playing around with this stuff and making pictures, and very obscene pictures. And there is quite a bit of smoking in this film. Make of that what you will. I'm not going to go into any sort of smoking rant here. Of course, there are a lot of people who do smoke in high school, whether they should or shouldn't. Bullshit repellent. Actually, I did catch this movie once on syndicated television, where, of course, they used to edit movies for content, and I watched it, and there's a lot of blurred out stuff like the bullshit repellent, and there's a little wind-up toy we're going to see in a second. And I'm like, the man got to it. What the hell? Being weird is not enough. That's true. It's easier to say that now than when I was in high school. It took me a while to really sort of find the confidence to be who I was. Oh, there it is. The jumping phallus. I guess I'll just call it that. And Allan Moyle wrote and directed this film. Not long after he worked on another movie that was pretty much taken out of his hands called, I believe it was Times Square. Yeah, it was taken from him, and he didn't want to direct after that. He basically wanted to retire from it. But he began working on screenplays, one of which was the one for this film about a teenager who runs his own private pirate radio station for other teenagers. And he was eventually persuaded to direct it. Sorry if you hear this background noise. It's just going back and forth. Got my computer up in case I want to get some notes. Billy Morissette there, ladies and gentlemen, as the ultimate punk, who somehow got expelled for no other reason than for what he was wearing. Christian Slater has called this one of his favorite roles. I don't blame him. I think he clearly has a lot of fun with it. I think he related to the material more than people realized. And I actually watched this with my mother in a movie theater back in 1990, and I think this scene we're seeing here where he's faking masturbation, it's just like almost turned her off of the film, I'm sure. It took a while to really sort of figure out what he was doing. We all discover this act of masturbation in very different ways. And I look at guys pretending to climax in film, and I'm reminded of what Robin Williams once said. It's like, men can't fake orgasm. Who wants to look that dumb? Yeah, his listenership is low at the moment. It's low at the moment. But we know it's going to go up. Paige Woodward, the seemingly perfect Paige Woodward. She's a fan too. It's kind of like her parents are planning out her life for her, and she's not sure what to do. I mean, she's like, she knows what she has to do, but something inside of her is just burning up. Yeah, ditto. Yeah, I would be out there making it instead of sitting here talking with you guys as well. I love his little letter here. I love his sarcastic matter here. Yeah, hey, maybe he did write it to himself. Now, this moment coming up here where Christian Slater explains why he can't be happy for 1 second, spoke really true to me. He moved to the stupid suburb. Yep. Kind of like me. I lived in the same town for 5 years. We moved a few times before we got to that town, and then after really settling in, I got uprooted again at the worst possible moment. It happened just before I turned 13. And having to start all over again at that point was devastating and just really screwed up my perspective. And I loved just what he's saying here and how real it was, because a lot of teenage movies at that point were basically fluff or sort of a fantasia on what it was like, just like wishful thinking and, what this would be cool if this happened. And it also featured those nerdy characters who you prayed you would never be seen like at school. Always a big fear of mine. God, Christian's good in this movie. And this scene coming up here where we see him dancing, apparently Allan Moyle was going to hire a tap dancing instructor and do this tap dance piece for him to do, and Christian was like, no. I'm not feeling that, man. Let's just do it regular. I think he probably told him what I would have told him had I been cast in this role. It's like, look, don't worry, I'm a white guy with rhythm. I can pull this off. Yeah, so some shows are long, some shows are short. Yep. See, here he's dancing here. A tap dancing scene I don't think would have made sense. I'm sure Alan had a good idea of how to put it in, but just seeing him dance like this is enough. A lot of the music you hear in this movie, this was the first time I heard a lot of it. I wonder how Scott Paulin, who plays Mark Hunter's father, feels about Christian swinging that golf club at his head. It's like, how do I know he's not going to hit me for real? And of course, Chandler says, hey, this is why we moved. It's a nice place to live, and I got a really cool job. Mimi Kennedy. She's one of those actors who's been in every other project, every other TV show, every other movie, and for good reason. She also got to guest star in one of my favorite shows of all time, Homicide: Life on the Street. I'm envious. I wonder if Diet Pepsi sponsored this movie in any way. Some of the parents in this movie might be oblivious, and that's kind of my impression first with these two. Maybe they can't understand and really help him. But as the movie goes on, and particularly with Scott Paulin's character, he really comes to see, he's really one of the good guys. We'll get to that later. But this scene here, we see how he gets all this information about the school, what's going on at the high school, and so forth. One of my favorite lines there. I should send away for an inflatable date. I think Christian did this movie not long after Heathers, which is another great high school movie, a bit different in tone. It's a very black comedy. This one's a little more serious. Some might call this the anti-John Hughes movie. I don't think that's really fair. I mean, John Hughes movies were great because John really took the time to listen to teens and hear what they had to say and discuss how they felt. Pump Up the Volume for me digs even deeper, though, into what it's like to be a teenager and just not sure how to fit in. And, you have a lot of images pushed at you. Say, this is what you need to be like. If you're not like this, you're not cool or whatever. It's, and this one just felt real, and that's why it felt like such a godsend to me. And also just the fact that I completely related to Mark Hunter. And now we see Christian in class as a shy Mark Hunter, and he's good. He doesn't overact it. He's really good. And of course, we got Ellen Greene here, the one who originated the role of Audrey in the musical Little Shop of Horrors, and would later play it in Frank Oz's film. I love watching Christian Slater here again because he's like, shy, painfully shy, not sure how to act around people, not sure what to say. And Ellen Greene here plays the kind of teacher that a high school needs, someone who really just hears the kids out and is there for them. This is not to say other teachers are, but a lot of them are so into strict discipline and just look at them as if, look, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand it. These kids know exactly what they're going through. They don't need to be talked down to. They need to be listened to. This is great. I like this. Paige Woodward. Some friends are catching, hey, how you doing? And regardless of how popular she may or may not be, you can tell she's kind of distant from everybody. It's like she's a part of things and not part of things. Alright. This song, for some dumb reason, did not end up on this soundtrack. This movie has a great soundtrack. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say it's Two Live Crew that did this. I remember it was a big thing in 8th grade when they came out with their album. And the song Me So Horny. Andy Romano. Might remember him best from Under Siege as the admiral who Steven Seagal did not listen to. Only 200 days to the SATs. Annie Ross here. Great actress. Watching her here kind of reminds me of this teacher I had in 3rd grade who I did not like. My brother had her as a teacher too. I mentioned her name to her today. He's like, oh God, don't remind me of her. I like how you see the adults are pissed and the teachers here are like, oh come on, this is don't take it so seriously. Watching this movie again, I mean, a lot of memories I had of being thrust into junior high school and 6th grade really come back to mind. Being very antisocial and almost wanting to be invisible. I was in a town I did not ask to move into and did not want to lose touch with my old friends, but that was beyond me. I did read that book, Lenny Bruce's book. It's a very good book. The character, Allan Moyle said the character is a combination of Lenny Bruce and Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye. One of the best books you could ever read, by the way. I have to admit, I didn't read that book until I was in my 30s. God, I wish I watched it sooner. I read it sooner, I should say. Yeah, I imagine a lot of women were doing that to me, too. Crossed me off their list. I love that line. It's 10:30 at night. Do you care where your parents are? So yes, in this scene, as you can see, some animals were harmed in the making of this film. Or you could also say that some were well fed. How cool the 60s! Yeah. See all those audio tapes. As ancient as the technology is in this movie, thematically speaking, it still holds strong, I think. It still has a lot to say. It has a lot for people to relate to. The Descendants. There's another song that didn't end up on the soundtrack, but it's great. God, I don't blame him for playing this twice. It's just a ridiculously short little song. And of course, the last line. Yep. Some critics have complained, well, he's playing a lot of music that most kids wouldn't even bother listening to. And I don't know about that. Who knows? I mean, this movie calls for a soundtrack of alternative music. Mainstream music would not really fit in this thing. Oh, right, guidance counselor extraordinaire. We're about to meet an actor who I first became familiar with as Commander Remick in a couple episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation. Such a pompous, pain-in-the-ass character. Let me see. Cheryl here, who was pregnant teenager. This is not elaborated too much in the film. Some people might complain about that, but I think in the end, the point is, regardless of her situation, they have no reason to just force her out. And here we have Robert Shinkan. I probably got his name wrong, but I didn't know a lot about this guy, but he's also a playwright and screenwriter, and he won the Pulitzer Prize for Drama in 1992 for his play The Kentucky Cycle. And his play All the Way earned the 2014 Tony Award for Best Play. So he's quite an accomplished actor, and yet a lot of us still know him for playing odious, pompous jerks in films and television. It's amazing he falls for this. I love the hand gesture there. I mean, Christian Slater, Michael Keaton is the key at that, but I was kind of assumed that was just like slang for, yeah, right, bullshit, It actually was for something else, but we'll get into that another time. Yeah, the students are dropping out, that's true, of that school. We should point out something that Allan Moyle actually based this script on some real-life circumstances. Specifically, Allan Moyle's sister taught at a high school in Montreal once, where the principal had a pact with the staff to enhance the credibility of the school scholastically at the expense of the students who were immigrants or culturally disabled in some way or another. Cruel. I hate that. I really hate that. I remember him saying that, yeah, society mutates so rapidly, and I remember kind of having the same view. I'm just like, why? What do we have to look forward to? Okay, and now we're coming up to one of the few callers who's thoughtless enough to play something of a prank on Mark Hunter, a.k.a. Hard Harry. And somehow, at least he's smart enough to pick up on it and not fall for the crap. Yeah, apparently Christian Slater got very violently ill from all the cigarette smoking he had to do in the film. Like I said, there's a lot of smoking going on here. But again, I think Alan's not judging the characters. Maybe not the young characters, the adult characters, sure, and why not? Oh, that's nice. I didn't notice that before. The sticker on the wall says, homework causes brain damage. Man, I should have used that as an excuse as a kid. Fart. I like a fart in the car. That's great. Now, he would have been fazed by that, I think, in real life at school, but obviously on the radio, he's like, okay, that's too bad, but yeah. Malcolm Kaiser. His parents here are not exactly warm, and Andy Lucero played this character, and he's said to be an American poet. He's published a lot of poems. Okay, I didn't know that. He also co-founded the circus outreach organization Circus Remedy. Okay. Hallelujah, yes. Okay, now we're going to get to see another side of Samantha Mathis's character, Nora De Niro. Whether or not Nora is related in any way, shape, or form to Robert De Niro is not explained here, but okay, it's probably for a good reason. Would be nice to be related to Robert De Niro now, wouldn't it? Oh, yes. Oh, this is good. I mean, even if you didn't have that scene, I think you could tell Nor would write that. Talk hard, yes. Becomes one of the key statements in the film, talk hard. Dirty flat and nice clean mind, yeah. And that's the thing. I think a lot of kids have thoughts like these, and they're made to feel like these are bad thoughts instead of being heard. You know, there's just got to be an outlet for the aggression and the feelings we feel. I mean, and as a teenager, these emotions are quite epic, ridiculously epic. You know, I love how he sort of credits the writing, and then I like that. Legend in our own mind. Yeah, I think everybody's a legend in their own mind. We get caught on our heads a lot. I do anyway. I think he's looking for someone to relate to, and I think he's found it. Because, yeah, he's a bit shy, quiet. I mean, when you write something, sometimes you can find a freedom you can't in real life when you're socially awkward. Something, of course, are these actors too old to be playing teenagers? Who gives a shit? I really don't care. Oh, the Beastie Boys. This song was apparently banned and so controversial when put on their album. Today, it seems like the kind of song that would never, ever end up on a Beastie Boys album. Oh. Yeah, it was supposed to be on their License to Ill album, but it was deemed too explicit. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder how they got it on the air. King of Arizona. Oh, yes, and he has a shirt that says Dick on it. Yeah, why not? Now, it always seems to be a common feeling. Everything seems played out, overdone. It's usually just things are played out to death constantly until we realize, okay, let's try something new. And here we come to a key scene in the film. Give this guy credit. He doesn't give out the phone numbers over the phone. This is a scene that hit me hard too. Not because I ever contemplated suicide. I have no desire to be that selfish, but just seeing him and just sort of feeling like so isolated from the world, it's painful. I mean, you can't blame him for being sarcastic first, because he's always been pranked by one caller and he doesn't even know who he's talking to. I mean, this actor's only on screen for a brief time, but he's really good here. Now here comes a key moment. I'm all alone. I mean, that's kind of how I felt at times, and it was nice to hear Christian Slater say, hey, maybe it's okay to be alone sometimes. I mean, again, you're expected to be one kind of person in society and school, and when you're not that person, it's just devastating, especially when you're young, you know? I mean, I like how he shifts. He just sort of realizes, oh, wait, this guy really is serious. Yeah. You can hear the sound effects. You can't see the gun, but you can hear it, and you know. This kid has made up his mind, sadly. Terminal loneliness. I keep saying that to myself from time to time. Yeah, it's just terminal loneliness. I love the speech he has here. And I love that Samantha Mathis is taking notes, not in a book or anything, but on this thing that she has on the wall. Oh, look at all those cassette tapes. Cinderella. Oh, I remember that band, Cinderella. I love the speech he gives here. How a person should be. Who cares? Yeah. Oh, God, this is so true. What he's saying. Be that an obstinate nerd and wants to smile at someone and say hi, and it comes all wrong, and it's just like you have that one chance with someone you really want to get close to, and then you screw it up, and they never look at you again. Some people say that Christian Slater is too good looking to play a character like this, and I don't think that's even relevant. Fine, good looking or not, a lot of people go through this. I like how this scene sort of fades out. This song is on the soundtrack. Yeah, freedom of speech. Yeah. I mean, I like how the clothes he wears. This is a guy who. This could have been a character played too broadly, and he doesn't make him look like this four-eyed nerd or anything like. He seems like a nice guy, just understandably antisocial and upset about where he is, and depressed. Depression's a real disease, by the way. I see this one kid here selling cassettes. Oh, here's another hard to watch scene of sorts. I mean, he's like trying to make his move, and man. And his audience is now growing. Of course, parents are trying to shut it down. The adults are trying to shut it down. But what you resist, you empower. I like this moment here because, she's looking around for Mark. At the same time, it kind of just shows... Samantha Mathis does great for showing how free Nora is with herself and her personality. At least on the surface, maybe more so than a lot of the other students on campus. It's a shame. There's a lot of songs on this soundtrack, in this movie, that didn't end up on the soundtrack that was released. It's a great soundtrack, but it would have been great if they released a companion piece, because a lot of other great songs could have been listening to as well. She's zeroing in. Should be noted that at the time they made this movie, Samantha and Christian were in a relationship, so the chemistry they have there is very genuine. Their relationship unfortunately didn't last, but they did work together in a couple movies like Broken Arrow, which I refer to as John Woo Light, and some other stuff, I believe. God, this reminds me so much of myself in 6th grade. I mean, people really did try to reach out to me, and I kept pushing them away, which, in retrospect, I regret a bit. But again, I just was really upset about my circumstances and was very sensitive. Luis Chavez, we saw him at the beginning of the movie. Where is he? And I think we all know what's going to happen next. I like how Allan sort of breaks the news to the class. There's no melodramatic emotions here, just sort of total shock. And of course, Chris is just devastated. Is it his fault? No, but situations like that, everybody's looking for a scapegoat. Because God forbid they have to take responsibility for something they did wrong. Now, this is one of those roles Christian is so great in, because he doesn't play the character, he just is the character. And some people will complain, when he has the harmonizer disguising his voice. But yeah, he still sounds like Christian Slater, and be a winner. Yeah, that's okay. But yeah, I mean, Christian Slater isn't really playing Christian Slater. He's playing Mark Humphries. And while people may know Christian Slater's voice really well, they don't know what Mark Humphries sounds like because he's very quiet in class. Doesn't know what to say. I like how he puts on his sunglasses. Now he's starting to look a little more like Christian Slater, but still. I saw a video recently about the locations that this movie was shot at. This postal center is no longer there. It's a pizza joint now. It's interesting to know. It'd be nice to drive around there sometime. I imagine these days it would be harder to get away with creating a fake address or a P.O. box, because I don't think it's harder to hide these days. Back then, it was a little easier. Yep, he does love the Eat Me Beat Me lady. I mean, looking at the mall out there, I mean, it's just like, God, who hasn't lived in a place like this? It's, it can be a wonderful place to live, but when you're a kid, it can be so isolating. You're so cut off from everything. He's very clever. Of course, he's not quick to warm up to people around him. It takes a while. I remember it taking a while for me. Samantha Mathis is good. Her career has not been as strong as it used to be, although she did apparently was, I think, a vice president of SAG-AFTRA for a time. It's not his fault, but yeah, you can't help but feel guilty. So yeah. So she served as a vice president of SAG-AFTRA from 2015 to 2019. Oh, and she's also the daughter of B.B. Bish. And, she played Carol Marcus in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Oh, and she's on Billions. A great show on Showtime, which is on the verge of ending. Alright. Okay, maybe she's doing well. And of course, now the parents are like, they don't want him to be sent. I mean, I like how the parents approach it, but at the same time, it's understandable. He's like, come on, you don't get it. And I didn't ask to be here. Some parents are like, look, just get over it, alright? Grow up. Be a man. I hate that. I hate that. Be a man. What does that mean? Act your age. What does that mean? Like that, yeah. You can't say these parents don't care, but it's hard to know. I mean, when your kid becomes a teenager, I'm not a parent, but when your kid becomes a teenager, I gotta imagine that's gotta be one of the most challenging times. True. Scott Pollin's done a lot of work. I think the last thing I remember him being on was an season of 24. Oh, look. TV anchor milking the tragedy for all it's worth. Shep Shepherd. What kind of a name is that? Yeah, back to you indeed. And we get another great Leonard Cohen song here. Well, bummer. Another bummer about this. Again, the soundtrack is great, but it was a real bummer that they didn't include Leonard Cohen's version of Everybody Knows. I really love that version. Having said that, the cover of it by Concrete Blonde is fantastic. The lyrics, I think, are very telling, and it's kind of like his way of saying maybe it's time to call it quits. This is not the way things should have gone down. It's moments like this reminds me what the importance of screen acting is. It's not always about dialogue. Sometimes it's about what you can say with your eyes, and not with words. Yeah, this is back in the days of before social media really just took over our lives, and cell phones, and just back then it was about writing letters, and instead he got a shortwave radio set that his dad bought him. Yeah, it'd be nice to talk to my friends, but it's not that simple. Yeah, I realize it's not going to be normal, and I think, yeah, once you realize you're not going to be normal, there's kind of a freedom in that. Like, yeah, okay, fine. I'm not the person I'm going to thought I could be, but I'm going to be who I want to be. And it may not make life easier, socially speaking, but it certainly is freeing. Because you can't be everybody's friend. It's a lesson I really wish I'd learned earlier in life. I don't know why this movie wasn't a bigger hit. I didn't even debut in the top 10 when it opened. It's thanks to it being on cable and DVD, video, and Blu-ray that it's found an audience over the years. It's one of these movies that I also would love to see someone do a special edition of. I mean, I'm like, come on, Criterion, you can do that. If not Criterion, maybe Arrow Video, or maybe Vinegar Syndrome or Shout Factory. This is a movie crying out for a special edition. I mean, he's got so much going on in his head here, Mark Hunter, that he can't just stop the show. I like how he sort of views the suicide. And I also love what he says here about life of a teenager, because it's so true. Exactly. Correct. No, they don't. Maybe some do. Hmm. I mean, I kind of appreciated him saying that because it certainly felt like that at the time. My emotions were stretched up all over the place. I remember that. I love his take here. He talks about, suicide. It's like, hey, this could have been something. Look, you can't do suicide. This is his way of explaining it, and it's funny as hell. Nope. Exactly. No one ever reads the fine print these days. Hmm. Yes. Well, there's nothing to do. That's right, yeah. It's great to have a teacher like Ellen Green who's like, yeah, I get it. I get what you're talking about. I'm enjoying this. While as the other adults was like, oh my god, he's teaching these kids bad things. But no, it's not that. Yeah, and that's actually probably true. You would shit your shorts. It's not if you committed suicide, and it isn't a pretty picture. Video stores. Anybody remember those? Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I hear you. Who isn't ashamed of being ashamed? It's sick. I guess there was a period where, I apologize probably for myself more, and I'm sick of that now. Yeah, that's the thing as a kid, yeah. Nothing's real, but pain is definitely real. I mean, you gotta live with pain to have pleasure, but as a kid, sometimes pain is more prominent. Right. We're all disturbed, yeah. Exactly. Damn right. This really is one of the best scenes in the movie where Paige, who's had enough of being so perfect and having her parents plan her life out for her, this is just a wonderful moment where she just starts an act of rebellion. Oh, she even throws the pearls in. Go figure. There's something kind of freed about her doing that. Ouch! God, I hope she didn't get hurt. So, oh yes. Again, he didn't need a tap dancing instructor. I love this. Everybody's getting into it. A lot of people, why do kids do bad? Why do they do stupid things? It's because they get bored. They need a voice. I'm not condoning all of it, but yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like this kid. He looks like a real teenage kid. Now that is bigger than a baby's arm. I wonder whose idea was for Mark to do this. Okay, we're coming to one of the pivotal scenes in this film, which I really love. Because regardless of your gender or your sexual type, I mean, it speaks volumes. Nightlight's perfect. I love the honesty of this speech this kid gives. You know what I mean? I mean, whatever way you swing, I think just what happens here is that, yay, you found somebody, and then they betray you. That's harsh. I mean, I remember, yeah, as a kid, just like getting in situations like, okay, how do I act? What do I do? I wanted to be cool, and I think this is a guy who really wants to be accepted by this kid that Hard Harry is talking to. I mean, this is, and the other thing is just that, back then you figured people who are gay are only effeminate, and that's really not true. That's a ridiculous standard. And the kid who plays it doesn't play this character with any obvious stereotypes, and just Cliff Martinez's music really enhances the emotions over it. God, what'd they make him do? I don't think. Oh, come on, man. We get a visit from the cops here. Huh. I like that one moment. Yeah, you're forgetting what it's like when you're young. I think as you get older, yeah. As a kid, you're more attuned to the world around you and the hypocrisy of the adults. It's when you become an adult where you kind of just try to blunt reality or sort of get away from it through alcohol and drugs or whatever else works. Sucks when, you like someone, they don't choose you. Yeah, I love what he tells. What Hard Harry tells this kid here. Yeah, you're not confused. You know exactly what's going on. If anybody's confused, it is those kids. They don't know how to act. And their only way to do it is just to humiliate someone else, get power over someone else. Sometimes the bullies, or sometimes the bullied, often become the bully. That's what life has taught me. Oh, no, you're not a wimp, buddy. It's just, you're lucky to have someone who will listen to you, because as a kid, again, that's what you need. I don't know if it solves everything. I mean, the call-in's kind of like, is the problem been solved? No, but at least you got to share it with an audience who is probably more sympathetic than he realizes. Hmm. I love the look on Samantha Mathis's face. She's so moved by what she heard, and it is moving. It's one of the most powerful scenes in the movie, and this special mix of the Pixies song "Wave of Mutilation" is one of my favorite songs on the soundtrack. God, there's so many suburbs like this that are just constantly being built and new. I mean, they're everywhere. I see them all over the place in California. Again, this was filmed out in Southern California, but it does kind of remind me of Arizona in some ways. Like I said, I visited the state when I was young, but this could be a suburb anywhere. It could be anywhere. It doesn't have to be Arizona. And his audience is getting bigger and bigger. It's like he has to stop, but he can't get himself to do it. David Deaver is trying to solve the problem and doesn't really take the time to listen and doesn't truly understand, you know? And again, he's really shy. Man, Nora is determined to make his acquaintance whether he likes it or not. God, I was so like that in junior high, probably high school to a certain extent. There are principles like this. She seems like a one-dimension villain, but she's not. And it's a shame we didn't get to see that graffiti on the wall. Just hearing it brings ridiculous visuals to the mind. I hate that. Oh, no, you're ultimately guilty, you know. Guilty out without being proven guilty. Jesus, you know. I mean, just some principals, their job can be thankless, and some treat it as a major power trip, and Annie Ross's character definitely treats it as such. Oh, hey, Seth Green, a very young Seth Green. Oh, man, it's kick seeing him here. Keep wondering if someone could have done something like this at the high school I went to. I don't think it's quite that simple, but I believe that could happen at this one. It's kind of a dream. That's kind of a dream I think a lot of kids had. I imagine I had at one point of getting access to the school PA system and running rampant. Poor David Deaver. There are principals like I have a lot of friends who are teachers or school teachers, and they've dealt with principals like this or administrators like that. One of them even built a pinata with the principal's face on it, and they took great joy in laying waste to it. I love Billy Moore's in this movie. He's just great, and I just love how, yeah, the anchor and the cameraman are just filming him, and you know, they don't care about him. Okay, now I have a lot of crazy shirts. I don't have that shirt. Of course, if I did, it'd be hard to wear it anywhere. Annie Ross is just great at being such an intimidating presence. Like, oh yeah, I couldn't care less about you. You don't get to mess with me. I mean, he's kind of like a punk, this guy, but yeah, you can tell he's hurt. You know, hey. Mm-hmm. There's no escaping, you know. I mean, sooner or later, you kind of, I mean, when you're new in town, you're a new kid in town, it takes a while to warm up to people. And it's like, you want to warm up to them, but you don't know how, and, you know, it just takes time, and then it just suddenly happens. Yeah, her dad wasn't thrilled. We never get to see her dad again in the film. We do get to see Paige Woodward eventually, though. Looking a little bit different. You know, it could seem contrived that it's like, oh yeah, I gotta stop doing this show, I can't do it anymore, but, you know, he needs that outlet. He needs to express himself in one way or another. I mean, even as adults, we live in our heads so much. It's crazy. These two are great. Yep, the walls are closing in. Damn it. So that's a detective driving a squad car. I don't see that in a lot of TV shows. They just drive unmarked cars. Yes. Chucky Furley. I love Mark's reaction to this. I'm not going to blow up the kitchen. Parents have yet to discover what's really wrong with the school. I mean, I like Scott and Mimi here because they're not careless parents. They just don't know how to help their son, and they are slowly being clued into what's going on. And they do take the time to listen. They just don't always hear him out. Don't rock the boat, especially if you're sitting in it. Well, sometimes you have to. And they even have a priest. I love how she's trying to be nice, but I think even then she's like, come on. And Ellen Green's like, oh, come on, please. School commissioner, yeah. Yeah, I'll plot him, whatever. I like how the parents are just like quick to figure out. I mean, they think they understand the situation, and it's not quite that simple. They think they know what kids need. They don't always do that, It's not that simple, yeah. Lin Shaye, all right. Big in the Insidious movies now. It's great to see her in this or anything. Yeah. And yet they don't know he's in the crowd. He's there and everything. Paige is here. Yep. Her dad was not thrilled. I love that he comes up. Hey, well, he'll be heard, He's willing to hear him, and now. That's right. Yeah, they were already here. Right. Right, exactly. I mean, this is, we tend to look at the surface of things. We don't dig deep underneath. And I like the sort of shots there of Mark Hunter's dad going, oh, this is interesting, and Ellen really being sensitive. And of course, she's all like, oh, come on, you're a model student. What's wrong with you? And I love Mark's dad's like, look, come on, come back. We want to hear what you have to say. And of course, I mean, there's a lot of different avenues this movie could have gone in, like with the press, how the press treated, how the cops treated it, the parents treated it. But it's fake. The strength is focusing on these kids and finding the freedom to sort of escape the emotional bonds that they've been placed on them. And it's just the frustration of being young and not knowing exactly what to do. Yeah, they don't have a clue. And the crowd's getting bigger. Oh, they're bringing in the subwoofer stereo. Oh, nice. This is great. impressed. Everybody's getting involved now, and of course, he had to take a lead outside the van. Hey, they even brought a keg. Go figure. They're waiting for the voice, but, the man behind the voice is thinking maybe it's not a good idea. He goes on. Try not to recite what happens in the movie too much, but yeah. It's getting crazier and crazier. I think even he knows at some point that he's going to get caught. Maybe if he stops now, he can stop. But, it's not that simple. But in a sense, this is what I love about Nora, because she really becomes the conscience he needs. Because as much as he wants to stop, she said, look, you have a following and you can't just let them down. He wants to. And another key moment comes up here that spoke volumes to me when I saw it in a movie theater back in 1990. Oh, that's right, I can't talk, yeah. I remember saying that I don't know I can't talk. I can't talk about anything. Sometimes around my friends I couldn't join in conversations. It felt like a lot of the stuff that came out of my mouth was nonsense and easy to laugh at. I just was so uncomfortable in my own skin. So it makes sense that, the only way he can really communicate to her at that point is just to start the show again. Well, I guess it would make sense that maybe they would recognize their son's voice. Who knows? I like how he just said, look, yeah, he meets this girl he really likes and he wants to talk to her, but doesn't know what the hell to say. Oh, God. I love that. Fit hits the shan. Mm-hmm. Face the music and talk, yeah. Back in the day when you're a kid, it can seem like such a feat. And so scary to ask out the girl you really like. The flipping the figure, that's brilliant. Supernora saves the day. I love the parents' reaction here. They're so glad he found somebody, and they'll leave him alone. Yeah. Yeah, she don't have to go. This is great. I love how this movie goes on. These two parents become much cooler than the average parents, and Scott's character, of course, becomes a really big hero towards the end of the film. Yep. Again, all these audio tapes, God. My brother was helping me clean my apartment one time, was setting up a TV, and he came across this audio tape that I hadn't even taken out of its wrapper. He's like, "Oh my God, this is a relic. You still have one of these, man?" Oh, I should mention he also has vinyl records, and vinyl has made an extraordinary comeback in the last few years. So maybe this stuff doesn't look as dated as it is. I mean, today he wouldn't be having a pirate radio station. He would have some sort of website and be a lot more clever about not getting caught, although it would be harder to get away with it. I love this line here. God, she's evil. Anna Ross is great here. Oh, she's drinking on school campus. Shame on you. Yeah. Great. I guess that's what tracing phone calls was like back then. All the machines were so big. And here the police come, and I really was kind of fascinated with his expression here initially, because is he really resigned to it all being over? Again, I love Cliff Martinez's score. It's very good. It's kind of like the one he did for Steven Soderbergh's Sex, Lies, and Videotape. It just sort of like plays underneath the surface of things. I love it. And this police car skidding all over the place. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, he is. Imagine people watching this day would be like, putting it on their phones going, Siri, what's a cock ring? And this song he's about to play is probably one of the more mainstream songs this movie has to offer. But it's a really good one. Yeah, why can't I fall in love? Question I think a lot of us often ask. Yeah, why? You think it'd be so easy. It's some people it is. Some guys have all the luck to name another song, one by Rod Stewart. Again, it's one of those movies where the male actor has to take his shirt off, but at least he doesn't have a six-pack. If he had a six-pack of abs, that might be harder for him to seem so shy. Oh, come on, this guy has no trouble opening up to people, whatever. This scene here is great between Christian and Samantha. I mean, Christian plays her because he's just like, he's eager to be close to her, but not sure. a very naturally played scene. I love this moment she just takes her shirt off. I mean, I don't know if the studio executives are asking for press, but I think the thing I love about her taking that off is that it really forces Mark to look right at Nora. And look right into his eyes and not avert away from her face, you know? Yes, it is. It's opening up. Opening up is hard, especially back in this age. The scene leaves me speechless. I'm not sure what to say exactly. But again, I think, it's not a surprise to learn these two were in a relationship at the time. I like how they just sort of slowly warm up to one another. Oh, great. Yeah, of course it gets interrupted. And I like this next moment, when she asks him about the cock ring, and not everything is what it seems. Well, finally opens up. I mean, it's probably a lot easier to find a picture of a cock ring today in our internet-dominated world. But it's understandable back then it was hard to see such things. Ah, Chef Shepherd. Still here. She has the most interesting clothing choices in this movie, It's another great moment where, it's like, they don't know what to say, but that's okay. They know they made a connection, and things are starting to get better for the both of them, particularly for Mark. Again, I mean, he really could have overplayed this, but he doesn't. Christian doesn't overplay this. I just love how natural these two are together, and just reminds me so much of myself in those years. If only I was lucky as Christian was back then. But anyway. I don't know how Allan directed this scene, this moment, but it's very wonderful. It's natural, it's not overplayed. It just, these two work off of each other so well. Oh boy. I was kind of surprised they didn't take those posters down. The principal was like, take this down now. Or maybe they did. Maybe they did take it down. The students just put them back up. Right. Yeah, the world's fucked up, yeah. Oh, God, why did you say that? Well, here he comes again. Rounding up the usual suspects. Everybody's got a file. I like how Brian's trying to reach out and she's just like, no, this is my school. It's my school. Whatever. God. I had a lot of teachers like her in school. Her friend there with the glasses is kind of giving her the bird. The more what you resist, you empower. Nice. What sign does he want to put up anyway, huh? Oh, yeah. He does indeed. He also has a right not to get hit by this guy. Jesus. He should feel bad. That pipeline up there is interesting. I just, won't run through it. And this is where sort of everything gets pushed. I mean, just, it seems so ridiculous and unrealistic. But yeah, I imagine a lot of students get treated like this in school. I mean, it's all about fear in high school, sort of pushing fear and this and doing that, and also the walls coming, because obviously the FCC is involved, and now they're going to be able to find exactly where Hard Harry is broadcasting from. No, they can't, yeah. Yeah, right. He's stepping up, and he's trying to. And the walls are closing in more. Ellen Green's character gets fired because she tried to make a difference, and some principals just don't like change. They're so afraid of change, and those are the principals who really need to be out of the job after a while. Because Nick Nolte once said in a press conference I went to, look, there will always be change. There will always be change, and there will always be resistance to change. I like this scene here between Mark's dad and the principal, Loretta Cresswood. I gotta say, Annie Ross, she really was quite an accomplished singer. The other movies I really remember her from are Shortcuts, where she did quite the rendition of To Hell With Love. I loved seeing her sing that. And of course also Superman 3, in which she played the sister of Robert Vaughn's character. Of course, that led to a traumatic scene a lot of us sat through when she got turned into a robot. That kind of freaked a lot of people out. I like it. She's going to get to the truth. Good for her. You need teachers like her. You need someone to sort of upset the conservative balance. Things get too strict, too conservative, and you need something to sort of unsettle everybody, just sort of shake up things. Okay, this is James Hampton, I believe. Yes, it is. It's James Hampton, who's long since passed away. He's really good. He's a perfect, pompous government official. Wonder who did that. But yeah, I mean, I love this. It's like, the rebelliousness of it and the sort of upsetting, the adults and sort of disturbing them and making them wake up. I really dig how he does it. I don't know how he puts all this together. Should have taken electronics in high school. It's a shame he didn't copyright his recordings, Hard Harry. I think that kid would be owing him money. Oh, come on, yeah. The days of being a rebel. Days of making clear your disdain of the system around. Okay, well, they don't have a pinata of Miss Crestwood, but they do have this. It's understandable. As they make clear, yeah, we don't really like her. Speaking of all this parking here, I wonder how the other cars feel. How do we get out, What's going on? I love how he just does all that broadcasts. It just has so many great visuals, and it's just sort of like the defiance of these kids is great. I mean, I loved movies as a kid that dealt with young kids, outsmarting the adults. Be it this or The Goonies or, War Games, stuff like that. That's great. Yeah, he does. He does need her. Radio Shack, well, may Radio Shack rest in peace. And now we get Concrete Blonde's cover of Everybody Knows. And yeah, seeing everybody here just joyous. Yeah, he's back on, all right. It's a great feeling. Yep. Love seeing him be so confident here. Oh, I love this song. I believe this song was done by Was Not Was, who one hit wonder. They did Walk the Dinosaur. So ridiculous. This is funny. I like it. Billy Morissette somehow got up to the top. I don't know. That's the only time we see him up there. I wonder if they were dancing to that song when we were filming that scene. This song's good. I love his reaction. It's great. Yeah. It's nice to see political hacks like him taken down like that. And of course, we know he's going to rebel. And here's one great visual I love, just seeing the FCC trucks. It's probably not realistic, but damn, it's just funny. Them trying to do the FCC and they almost crash into one another. It's just, yeah. Mm-hmm. And again, he's still reminding there's something wrong with the school. I like it that he's saying all these things, and then some of his broadcast kind of tunes out for a bit, and now the truth's going to come out. And this is one of the points. It's just, we come into this movie thinking Mark's father is just, no different than the other adults, but he is a guy who believes in the right to an education, and is really ready about to give Loretta what she deserves. That's right, she did, yeah. Jesus. That is illegal. Oh, but yeah, all the money went to the school, yeah. Yeah! Oh, man, I was cheering so loud in the theater when that happened. So great to see her finally get taken down. Sadly, that's the last we see of her in the film. If only they could put her in a police car. Oh, this little dance he does here is great. There's another great song by the Urban Dance Squad, Living in the Fast Lane. I was so bummed this was on the soundtrack. Again, a great soundtrack. Some of these songs should have been on there. I had to look really hard for them. Jesus. Well, you can only be clever for so long, though. So the FCC. I don't think you would see an FCC truck doing that in real life. Kind of nice. It would, I see him looking over this crowd, and he's like, wow. I love his speech here, where he really just speaks out loud to the students. Right. I love everything he says here, because it's true, and I don't, back when this movie came out, I didn't really hear it enough. I mean, yeah, there were other movies like 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club. There are probably other couple that dealt with it as well. And there was also My So-Called Life, which is a brilliant television show that really dealt honestly with what kids were going through. But, of course, like a lot of brilliant TV shows that aired on network television, it lasted only one season. That and Freaks and Geeks. Right. It's going to be nice to have this sway over a crowd and have them really hear you out. Mm-hmm. I like how he ends this by looking at Nora. Of course, and once again, I love Cliff Martinez's score here. I remember the first trailer for this movie I saw, they used this music. It's a cool trailer. I can't seem to find it anywhere, though. It might seem a little convoluted that it ends in a chase sequence, but it's like, the walls are closing in, and it's like, oh, you have only so much time left to broadcast. What's your famous last words, And that makes sense, And of course, everybody's got to find out who Happy Harry Hard-On really is. Only so many characters we see from this point on, and we don't see Mark's dad after this. I mean, he does have one great last scene that we just saw. I just love that this movie didn't really censor itself, Yep. And of course everybody's like, yes, it's him! I love it. I just, yeah, say it, This movie I love it. It just says so many things that a lot of teen movies don't. I love movies that take the problems of adolescents and teenagers seriously, because it seems a lot of times like they're being belittled. And, it's nice to have a movie like this where they're heard, and of course this is a heartbreaking moment. The show is indeed over. He's facing the music. It's great to hear, all these people tell me, yeah, you talked to me, you really heard me. Thank you. It's nice to have that power on people. It's nice to, talk about it. And I like it. And then next thing you know, we hear a bunch of new pirate radio stations coming up. Happy Harry Hard-On show may be over, but his voice has been heard and his influence has been felt. Turn on the truth, yes. I'm watching this with my mom, and I'm just like, God, that was a great movie. I just like, my God, where has this movie been the last few years of my life? It spoke to me in a way no other movie could have, and I still love it for that. I mean, I'm so far removed now from my teenage years, but I remember it, I remember it quite well, and just, there have been other movies that kind of deal with teenage problems since then. I mean, recently there was Bo Burnham's 8th Grade, which documented, probably one of the worst years of anybody's life, regardless of where you are on the social ladder. 8th grade is not a great year. And then there was, there were a couple other movies, and there's Kids, of course, Larry Clark's Kids, which was as brilliant as it was psychologically damaging. The Spectacular Now with Shailene Woodley and Miles Teller. It was a wonderful slice of life movie. And Booksmart, Olivia Wilde's directorial debut, that was great. I mean, it's a comedy, but the truths it reveals are very telling, and it's a wonderful little film. Those are the movies I live for, Especially even now. Even as a kid, yeah, but now even more so. What else can I say about this film? Well, it did win the Golden Space Needle Award at the Seattle International Film Festival, beating out the festival favorite, Jesus of Montreal. Some people booed when the film was named the winner. Shame on them. Hey, this is a great movie. Nothing against Jesus of Montreal, but have some respect, okay? At least the Independent Spirit Awards really showered it with nominations, too. I mean, Christian Slater wants to remake this film at some point. I'm not sure how he can do that, though. I guess it depends. The technology has changed so much. I mean, pirate radio stations, maybe there's some out there, but it's not as realistic an option. And apparently I'm reading here that In 2019, Point Park University's Conservatory of Performing Arts announced it would be producing a world premiere production of the musical adaptation of Pump Up the Volume. That would be interesting to see. I would love to check that. Well, unfortunately, COVID-19 suddenly happened and the production was shut down. Maybe we'll still get to see it. Okay, we're coming up to the end here. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was informative. And there were some moments of silence, but some moments really just speak for themselves. Oh, hey, George Wilbur's one of the stunt players here. That's interesting. He played Michael Myers in Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers. Wow, totally forgot about that. But yeah, I love this movie. It remains one of my favorite movies of all time. And for those who feel alienated at school, I always recommend this to check out. This would actually make a great double feature with the Pixar film Inside Out, which features another character who was suddenly uprooted at the worst possible moment ever. And features the immortal line, "Congratulations, San Francisco, you ruined pizza." Love comes in spurts. Oh, that's the song he was dancing to at the beginning. Okay. Well, I hope you like my first audio commentary here for Pump Up the Volume. Hopefully one day someone will take the time to give it a special edition. And we get to see a lot of background interviews and behind-the-scenes features of how this film was made. If you can, find the soundtrack. Maybe it's available online. It's a great soundtrack. And I say that even though there's a bunch of songs missing on it. Mary Jo Slater, Christian Slater's mother, who would later be the casting director on Star Trek VI, in which he made a cameo in that. Yeah, he's quite the trekker, Christian. Great movie. I love this film. I hope you love it as much as I do. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching. This is the Ultimate Rabbit, signing off.